morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. Every thinking Zimbabwean out there has got to acknowledge that political reality. And the next step will be, how are we going to get out of this hellhole that we've dug ourselves into? It is often said that people get the government they deserve. In Zimbabwe, we cannot run away from the fact that we deserve this corrupt, incompetent, tyrannical, vote rigging ZANU-PF dictatorship, complete with its equally corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless MDC, CCC opposition. We deserve them because we don't pay attention to detail. It is said that those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat the same mistakes, the same foolish mistakes over and over again. One of the most outstanding mistakes for Zimbabwe is that for 46 years and counting, we've failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. The price for our failure is that we've been stuck with a corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical regime that has dragged the whole nation deeper and deeper into the abyss. No Zimbabwean should need a history lesson on who VP Chiwenga is. VP Chiwenga is a corrupt, incompetent, and murderous thug. Same as Mnangagwa, Mugabe, and the rest of the ZANU-PF thugs. His track record speaks for itself. VP Chiwenga was involved in the 2008 Operation Mavhotera Papi thuggery, where the nation had, for the first time, had the opportunity to have a meaningful say in the governance of the country. And he and Mnangagwa stepped in, stopped ZEC declaring the results, and went on to change the vote count, most notably to reduce Changirai's 73% of the vote to a 47% of the vote to justify the runoff. Here is a reminder of what happened in 2008 Operation Mavhotera Papi.
I also know that Mugabe conceded defeat on 2008. He found Mbeki and Obasanjo to concede defeat. I hope that Thabo Mbeki and Obasanjo will one day make that public. But one of them, I won't say which one, told me that Mugabe phoned them that Saturday night and said, look, I lost the election and I concede defeat. and I know that Mugabe stuck to his guns, was prepared to go. His wife was since bags packed to go somewhere on the following day, when Mnangagwa and Chiwenga approached him and said, "You stay where you are." And then they contrived the runoff, sadly with the help of South Africa. And runoff took place, very violent. 360 people were killed. The South African, I came here as part of a delegation to Cape Town to see members of the ANC. I don't want to mention names, they're my friends. I saw them, and through them, a cabinet committee subcommittee of South African cabinet was set up on the Zimbabwe issue. It was on the basis of that cabinet committee that South Africa did not recognize the runoff. And indeed, it was the basis of that committee that Thabo sent the generals to South Africa, to Zimbabwe. I met them, and I was one of the few to have read the report, because I was flying to Joburg in the company of General Romano, who was a friend. He passed away, no? So, yeah. And I also took people who had lost their hands in the violence to the South African embassy in Harare. And Romano broke down in tears. How can a liberation movement treat these people like that? He was a broken man. So there's no doubt at all here in South Africa as to the brutality of the regime in Harare. So it amazes me, it angers me, in fact, when I hear the nonsense coming out of people like Mbalula's mouth. They know it. And the report has never been published, the general's report.
Do I need to restate that? Chiwenga stood shoulder to shoulder with Mnangagwa in carrying out the 2008 Operation Mavhotera Papi. He was involved in the 2017 military coup, which was supposedly to remove Mugabe and stamp out corruption and restore free, fair, and credible elections. Did he do that? No, he didn't. This is why then it's disappointing, to say the least, when you find with such a track record, somebody still want to maintain that Chiwenga is a man of the people. This was posted on the X handle, where somebody is maintaining that VP Chiwenga is a man of the people. Nations get the government they deserve. We can pretend that VP Chiwenga is a man of the people and rub out the history, his history, out of convenience. But who are we cheating? We're only kidding ourselves. VP Chiwenga was involved in the violence of August 1st, 2018. These are historic facts, and we should stop running away from them. What is interesting in this particular case is that this myopic attitude is not just confined to ZANU-PF supporters. It's also there among the opposition. This posting about Chiwenga stood side by side with the posting from Chamisa supporters. Praising Nelson Chamisa. In the posting, we are being told is Ostalos wishing Comrade President happy birthday. It has been a journey defined by both triumphs and trials. Through all circumstances, you have taught us to serve with discipline, courage, and humility. This is just nonsense. We have got to learn to respect history. Is Ostalos talking of a different Nelson Chamisa than the Nelson Chamisa we all know? We all know that Nelson Chamisa has been in the MDC since its formation in 1999. They had the golden opportunity to implement the democratic reforms which would have ended this ZANU-PF dictatorship, particularly during the GNU. They failed to implement even one reform. Not even one. Mugabe bribed them with the trappings of high office, and the rest is history. Ever since the GNU debacle, the MDC, Chamisa and company have participated in flawed elections, knowing fully well that the elections were flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they're giving ZANU-PF legitimacy. We know Chamisa is a liar and a conman. And yet, all that is being airbrushed here. And we're meant to forget that. Here is a reminder of the real Chamisa.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana.
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election, $15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Well, no, because there is a video which shows you at a rally in January back home in Zimbabwe saying that Donald Trump had pretty much promised you $15 billion. To be clear, because some people in Zimbabwe are still confused, you're now telling me you did not meet Donald Trump.
We did not.
We have got to learn to respect history. Because if we are a creature of reason, we learn from history. But by repeating the same mistakes, by refusing to learn from the past, we have condemned ourselves to being what we are, a failed state. It is a simple choice. We can continue to bury our heads in the sand and pretend the likes of Chiwenga are demigods. Chamisa, a demigod, who can do no wrong, when the historic record shows that they are corrupt, incompetent, tyrannical, and in the case of Chiwenga, he has played his part in the murderous killing of innocent Zimbabweans in the 46 years of ZANU-PF rule. Chamisa will never implement any meaningful reforms to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship. He has announced that he has returned to politics. But I can tell you now, his intention is to participate in 2028 elections, knowing fully well that with no reforms, ZANU-PF will rig those elections. But he will convince his followers that he will win those elections. And when they've participated, they give ZANU-PF legitimacy and thus perpetuate the dictatorship. Nation gets the government they deserve. Of course, we deserve this corrupt, incompetent, and murderous ZANU-PF thugs ruling party, complete with its equally corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless MDC/CCC opposition. That is